Good morning, Emma. I'm so glad to be with you, and thanks for joining us this morning. Emma, I have been a fan of yours for a really long time, and one thing your clients tell me is how engaged you are with the coaching process.
Mhm.
Tell me about why you think you're so passionate about coaching and working with students.
Okay, so I think probably the main reason I love coaching is simply the variety of people that I get to meet. So my clients are all super interesting. They come from different professions, they come from different cultures, they come from different organizations, and they all have a different story to tell. So learning about them and getting an insight into what makes them tick and what their story is fabulous. And no story is ever the same, ever. So I do get very heavily invested in my clients and their success, and I just genuinely like helping them on their journey and helping them take the next step.
What do you think you would define as your coaching superpower? Something that you bring to each of your clients that really kind of helps them through the process?
So my coaching superpower, I would probably say it's my ability to connect and empathize with my clients. So taking time to get to know someone and building a sort of a trust-based relationship with them is something that I think is really important. And once you do that, you get them to open up to you. And when you're at that point with a client, then I get to understand more about them and understand their story. And then, of course, once you've got that relationship established, then you have the basis for putting together a really strong application.
I like that word, that trust, that kind of, you have to sort of start from the beginning and really get to know each other. And then you can kind of
Absolutely.
peel back the layers, which is so imperative for the kind of work we do.
Mhm.
Emma, you've worked in a number of different ways with institutions, with students. Do you have a story about a student engagement that you find particularly impactful or one you'd like to share with us?
Oh, there's so many actually, to be honest. So a recent one is I was working with a client, a really cool client actually, and he was offered a place at a top 10 school. And I was like, this is great. And he was like, this is great. And then there was this kind of silence. We were on a call. And then what happened was it turned out that the previous year, he'd been dinged from a top US school, his dream school. So he said to me, I've got this great offer, but what I'd really like to do is reapply to this my dream school. And I went, okay, really? But you've got this fantastic open offer from this top 10 school, don't you just want to grab that with both hands? And he said, no, actually, really what I want to do is work with you and reapply. And I said, okay, we can do that. Bear in mind, reapplications can be really tough. So we went right back to scratch, back to the drawing board, and we reframed his application, and he worked really hard on doing more outreach and taking on more sort of leadership initiatives at work. And we put together a cracking application, and he was offered in what's probably the toughest year ever. So he was really chuffed, and I was just over the moon for him.
So it sounds like you guys, is again, going back to the trust, you kind of, really had that relationship that allowed you to kind of unpack what was going on.
Yeah, definitely.
I know this is a funny question to ask, but you have general advice for students that are going through the process, things that they should kind of, have in the back of their mind as they're thinking about applying or going through the process themselves.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? You could probably talk all day about things that
I'm sure.
you do. I think one of my top tips is just to know your school, and it sounds so obvious, but it is still astonishing to me. The number of people that come to us and haven't really understood the school that they're applying to. So if you're applying to one school, you need to know that school inside out. But if you're applying to 5 schools, you need to know that school inside out, and you need to make each school and each admissions committee believe that their school is your number one choice, and that no other school matters. So as much outreach as people can do, connecting with students, connecting with alumni, and really understanding that sort of core word of fit that we bandy around, knowing the school inside out is hugely important. And when you have a sort of a real depth of knowledge and insight about what makes a school different and unique, then as a a candidate, you can match yourself to that, and an admissions committee will be able to tell someone who's genuinely done their research.
It's interesting because you and I were speaking earlier about learning new languages. And I almost say to students, this is like, you need to immerse yourself in the language of the school.
So
And,
true.
right? And really understand not just the terms that they're using, but sort of the ethos of the program and the community.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting analogy, I think, in that way. And Emma, you've been involved in education in many, many ways throughout your career. Do you feel, from your perspective, having these exposures with MBA students and MIM students, generally speaking, can you talk about the impact that you feel that these programs have for someone personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think that's something that as you get more senior in your career, shall we put it nicely like that, you can take the long view historically. And I do think, coming back to that initial question about what I love about coaching is you do genuinely get to see people move through through a MIM if they're early in their career, or through an MBA if they're a bit further on, and the impact that it has in terms of them following a new track potentially, or accelerating their career, but that idea of the kind of dream path that someone comes to you with, and watching people go through the process and come out the other side. And I still stay in touch with a number of my clients, and seeing them walk into those roles. It's great seeing them get accepted onto the program, but then hearing from somebody that they've come out the other side. I have a client at the moment who was offered at LBS and INSEAD, and he went to INSEAD and he came out, and we've been having conversations about, he's got sort of 3 or 4 different offers on the table at the moment about which one he's actually going to take and where he's going to go. And it's just so quite moving really sometimes to see how well these people are doing, and watch them just, I guess, move through their career.
I love that relationship, that keeping in touch. I have students also, and I think we all do, that you're like so invested and you want to, sort of see what happens.
Yeah. It's you just want people to do well, because you spend a lot of time with them, right? You have that kind of, as you say, relationship, and you build it, and it starts out someone you don't know particularly well, and as you said at the beginning, you peel back the layers. It is like that, and then once they enter a program and come out the other side, it's just the growth that people go through is huge, and it's just so pleasing to see.
Emma, I'm so glad I got to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Lovely.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.